Marina signed the papers to become her niece's guardian. She inherited more than a 5-year-old child. She inherited a debt so dark, so impossible, that the man who came to collect it wasn't even human. His name was Azrael, and he didn't want money. He wanted something far more precious. Her soul. Piece by piece, touch by touch. Over 30 days he would extract what her sister sold, and Marina would die empty. No afterlife, no second chances, just void. But here's what nobody warned her about. The monster collecting her soul would start to feel human, and she would start to see past his mismatched eyes and dual nature to the creature trapped between heaven and hell, suffering just as much as she was. Every extraction brought them closer. Every stolen moment made the inevitable ending more unbearable. Until Marina discovered something that changed everything. A loophole hidden in blood and ancient law. A way for them both to survive. The cost? Azrael would have to give up his eye. Immortality. Become human. Vulnerable. Hunted. And Marina would live forever incomplete. 21 pieces of her soul scattered into nothing, feeling the hollow spaces with every breath for the rest of her life. But when angels come to execute them both for breaking cosmic law, Marina makes a choice that's either brilliantly insane or their only chance at survival. And the clock is ticking, because love born between damnation and salvation doesn't get happy endings. It gets the envelope. Arrived on a Tuesday, which Marina would later think was fitting because Tuesdays had always been the day her life fell apart. The paper was expensive, cream-colored, the kind you'd use for wedding invitations. Her hands were still sticky with strawberry jam from making Sophia's lunch when she tore it open, standing by the kitchen counter. Final notice. Payment due in 30 days. The number at the bottom made her stomach drop. $47,000. Her sister's debt. Her debt now. The debt that came with becoming a mother overnight to a 5-year-old who still waited by the door every afternoon, asking when mommy was coming home. Marina crumpled the paper, throat tight. Through the thin apartment wall, she could hear Mrs. Chen's television, some game show where people screamed over winning cars they'd never be able to afford. The sound used to annoy her. Now it just reminded her how paper-thin everything was. One bad month, one dead sister, one signature on guardianship. Papers, and suddenly she was drowning. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Almost. Miss Reyes? The voice was male, smooth, with an accent she couldn't place. European, maybe. Old. I understand you've received our correspondence. Marina's fingers tightened around the phone. I'm working on it. I just need more time. Time. He said it like the word amused him. That's precisely what I'm offering. There's a car waiting downstairs. Black sedan. The driver will bring you. To me. We can discuss alternative payment arrangements. I'm not going anywhere with... Your shift at Mercy General starts in 4 hours. You're working a double. 16 hours on your feet in the ICU where you'll watch 3 people die tonight because that's what Tuesdays are like in the COVID unit, aren't they? And you'll come home to little Sophia, who started wetting the bed again because grief does that to children. You'll have $19 left after rent. $19 for food, for her shoes that are getting too small, for the electricity bill that's overdue. Marina's breath caught. How did he... The car is waiting, Miss Reyes. I'm not a patient man, but I'm a fair one. 30 minutes. That's all I'm asking. The line went dead. She should have called the police. Should have blocked the number, locked the door, pretended this wasn't happening. Instead, she looked at Sophia's school photo on the fridge. The gap-toothed smile that looked so much like her sister's, it hurt. The drawing next to it. 2 stick figures holding hands. Me and Tia Marina, written in purple crayon. The black sedan was idling by the curb when she got downstairs, exhaust curling in the October cold. The driver didn't speak, didn't even look at her. He just opened the door. The interior smelled like leather and something else. Incense, maybe. Church incense. The thought made her skin prickle. They drove for 20 minutes into the old industrial district where buildings leaned against each other like drunk men. The sedan stopped in front of a warehouse with blacked-out windows. Marina's nursing training kicked in, the part that assessed danger, calculated risks. This was stupid. This was how women disappeared. But $47,000 didn't disappear, and Sophia needed her. Inside, the warehouse was nothing like she expected. Warm light, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with volumes that looked older than the building itself. And at the center of it all, standing with his back to her, was a man who made the air feel wrong. He turned, and Marina forgot how to breathe. His left eye was gold, not hazel, not brown with flecks of amber. Gold, metallic, catching the light like a coin. His right eye was black, pupil and iris merged into darkness so complete she could see her own reflection in it. The asymmetry should have been jarring, should have made him look monstrous. Instead, he was beautiful in a way that made her teeth ache. "Miss Reyes." He didn't smile. "Thank you for coming. Who are you?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "You can call me Azrael. Your sister called me a lifeline. Technically, she called me a lot of things, but lifeline was the kindest." He moved closer, and Marina noticed the veins on his hands. They pulsed faintly, as if something luminous moved beneath his skin. "She borrowed money. I provided. She promised payment. She died. Debts, unfortunately, transfer to next of kin. She died in a car. Accident. She ran." Azrael's voice went cold, and for a second, the lights flickered. "From me. That's what the accident was. Her running. You don't run from contracts, Miss Reyes. You especially don't run from mine." Marina's hands clenched into fists. "I don't have the money." "I know. That's why you're here." He gestured to an ornate chair. "Sit." She didn't. "What do you want?" "Your sister sold something to me. Something valuable." He tilted his head, studying her like she was a specimen under glass. "I've come to collect, from you. I don't have anything. You have a soul, don't you?" The words hung in the air between them. Marina laughed, a sharp, broken sound. "You're insane. I'm literal." Azrael pulled a document from the desk, unfolded it. Her sister's signature at the bottom, in ink that looked rust brown. Blood. Your sister understood what she was signing. You inherit the contract. I inherit you. This isn't legal. I don't deal in human law. His golden eye caught the light, burning. "You have 30 days, Miss Reyes. 30 days during which I will collect payment incrementally, through physical contact, through proximity." Marina's heart hammered. I mean your body is the vessel. What I want is what's inside it." He moved closer, and the air grew hot, then cold, then hot again. "Each touch, each payment, I'll extract a piece of your soul. Slowly, carefully. By day 30, there'll be nothing left. You'll die, peacefully. Your debt's cleared. Little Sophia will go to a good foster home. I have connections." "You're talking about killing me." The words felt unreal leaving her mouth. "I'm talking about honoring a contract." Azrael stopped inches from her, close enough that she could smell him. Ozone and cinnamon and something burning. "Your sister chose this. You're simply finishing what she started." Marina's vision blurred. This couldn't be happening. This was shock, exhaustion, a breakdown from too many double shifts, and too much grief. Then Azrael reached out and touched her wrist, barely a brush of fingers, and pain exploded through her nervous system. Not physical pain. Worse, the sensation of something being pulled, peeled, extracted from deep inside her chest. She gasped, stumbling back, and when she looked down, her veins had darkened under her skin where he'd touched, spreading like ink in water. "That's one." His voice was soft, almost gentle. 29 more to go. I'll see you tomorrow, Miss Reyes. Same time. No. But her legs were shaking, her body remembering that wrongness, that violation that had nothing to do with skin and everything to do with something she didn't have words for. You'll come, Azrael said. Because if you don't, I'll visit sweet little Sophia instead. Children's souls are so much brighter, easier to extract, quicker. Marina's blood turned to ice. You wouldn't try me. The gold eye blazed. 30 days, Miss Reyes. Your soul or hers. Choose. The driver was waiting outside. Marina's hands wouldn't stop shaking during the ride back. When she touched her wrist where Azrael had grabbed her, the skin felt normal, but underneath, she could feel it. Something missing. Something hollow where fullness used to be. She made it home with 40 minutes before her shift. Sophia was still at after-school care. Marina sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the darkened veins that were already fading back to normal, and tried to understand what had just happened. Her phone buzzed. A photo. Sophia on the playground, pushing another kid on the swing, laughing. Below it, Day 1 complete. 29 remaining. Don't be late tomorrow. Marina pressed her forehead against the cold tile and didn't let herself cry until she heard the door unlock, until she heard Sophia's voice calling, Tia, I'm home, with that bright, innocent joy that children had before the world taught them about monsters. She stood up, washed her face, put on her scrubs, and wondered how many pieces of your soul you could lose before you stopped being human. Marina didn't sleep. She stood in the shower at 3 a.m. with water scalding her skin, scrubbing the place where Azrael had touched her until it turned raw and red. The darkened veins were gone now, faded back to normal blue-green beneath her skin, but she could still feel it. The absence. Like a tooth pulled, tongue constantly probing the empty socket. Her shift at Mercy General was a blur of beeping monitors and dying. Patients. Mrs. Patterson in bed 7, coded twice. They brought her back both times, but Marina saw it in the woman's eyes when she regained consciousness. That look people got when they'd touched the other side and realized it was waiting. Marina wondered if her own eyes looked like that now. At 2 p.m., her phone buzzed. The car is outside. She told her supervisor she was sick. Walked out past the ambulance bay where EMTs were unloading another COVID case, another person drowning in their own lungs. At least they got to die without knowing a monster was stealing their soul piece by piece. The warehouse looked different in daylight, smaller, more ordinary. Marina almost convinced herself yesterday had been a psychotic break, until she walked inside and saw him standing by the window, silhouetted against dirty glass. Punctual, Azrael said, without turning around. Your sister was always late. I appreciate the improvement. What are you? The question came out before Marina could stop. He turned, and in the afternoon light, his mismatched eyes were even more unsettling. The gold one seemed to glow from within. The black one absorbed light like a void. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me. You're already taking my soul. Least you can do is explain what you are. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. You're calmer than expected. I worked ICU through a pandemic. Marina's voice was flat. I watched people drown in their own fluids while their families said goodbye through an iPad screen. I held the hand of a 15-year-old boy while he died alone because his parents couldn't get past hospital security. You're terrifying, but you're not the worst thing I've seen. Azrael studied her for a long moment. Then he moved closer, and Marina forced herself not to step back. My father was a demon. My mother was an angel. Do you know what that makes me? Impossible. Nephilim. The word came out bitter. An abomination. Heaven wants me. Purified, which is a pretty word for executed. Hell wants me enslaved. I exist in the space between, collecting debts for both sides to buy my continued existence. Your sister's soul was promised to a crossroads demon. I bought the contract. Now I'm fulfilling it. Marina's hands clenched. By killing me. By collecting what was promised. He reached out slowly, telegraphing the movement like you would with a frightened animal. This is going to hurt. It hurts less if you don't fight. And if I do fight, then it hurts more. The extraction happens either way. His fingers hovered inches from her collarbone, and Marina could feel heat radiating from his skin. Or maybe cold. Her body couldn't decide. I'm not cruel by choice, Miss Reyes. I'm cruel by necessity. There's a difference. Is there? But she didn't move when his fingers made contact. The pain was worse than yesterday. It started where he touched, just above her heart, and spread like fire through her chest. Not burning. Unmaking. Like something fundamental was being unwoven, thread by thread. Marina gasped, knees buckling, and Azriel's other hand caught her elbow, keeping her upright. Breathe, he said quietly. It passes. She wanted to scream, wanted to claw at him, make him feel even a fraction of this violation. But his grip was gentle, almost tender, and that made it worse somehow. He was destroying her with the care of a surgeon. When it finally stopped, Marina was leaning against him, forehead pressed to his shoulder, breathing in ragged gasps. His heartbeat was wrong, too slow, like a drum played underwater. 2, Azriel murmured. 28 remaining. Marina pushed away from him, stumbling back. Her chest felt hollow now, like something had carved out a space behind her ribs. Why does it hurt so much? Because souls aren't meant to be divided. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. They're whole things. Taking pieces is like tearing pages from a book. The spine breaks. The story becomes incomplete. Then why? Her voice cracked. Why this way? Why not just take it all at once? Because the contract specifies gradual extraction over 30 days. Your sister was clever. She thought it would give her time to find a way out. His golden eye caught the light. It didn't. Marina wrapped her arms around herself. Through the warehouse windows, she could see normal people walking normal streets, living normal lives where souls stayed intact and debt. Collectors were just aggressive humans with bad attitudes. Did she die because of you? The accident? Azriel's jaw tightened. She died running from me. I tracked her to Route 87. She saw me in her rearview mirror and panicked. Swerved. The guardrail didn't hold. He paused. I watched her burn. Heard her screaming. The fire consumed her body before I could extract the final pieces of her soul. Good. The word came out vicious. I hope you lost everything. I did. Something dangerous flashed in his black eye. Incomplete contracts draw attention. Heaven sent investigators. Hell sent auditors. I had to burn favors I'd spent decades accumulating just to redirect the blame, to buy this second chance with you. So yes, Miss Reyes, your sister's death cost me greatly, which is why I will not lose this contract. I will collect every piece of your soul, even if I have to chain you to this warehouse for 30 days. Marina's breath came faster. You can't. I can. I will. Or. He moved closer again, and Marina hated how her body responded, skin prickling with awareness that had nothing to do with fear. You can come willingly. Make this easier on both of us. I'll even sweeten the deal. Continue your shifts at the hospital. Tuck Sophia into bed each night. Live your remaining days as normally as possible. All I ask is 2 hours daily for extraction. 2 hours of torture. 2 hours of payment for a debt you inherited. Azriel's voice went soft. I'm not the villain here, Marina. Your sister made a choice. Sold something that wasn't hers to sell. Her future. Your future. Bound together by blood. I'm simply the collector. The executor of consequences. Marina wanted to argue. Wanted to call him a monster. A demon. Worse. But exhaustion was pulling at her now. The hollowness in her chest making everything feel distant and cold. What happens at the end? Day 30? You die. Peacefully. I make sure of it. You'll go to sleep and simply not wake up. No pain, no fear, just ending. And Sophia? Foster care. I told you I have connections. She'll go to a good family, one that can actually afford her. His mismatched eyes held hers. Better than you could give her, working yourself to death for $19 and a prayer. The truth of it hit harder than the extraction. Marina pressed a hand to her chest, feeling the new hollowness there. I hate you. I know. Azrael stepped back. Same time tomorrow. Don't be late. The driver took her home in silence. Marina sat in the back seat watching the city pass by, ordinary people with ordinary problems, and tried to remember what it felt like to be whole. Sophia was waiting when she got home, wearing her school uniform and a gap-toothed smile. Tia, I made you a picture. It was a drawing of two figures holding hands under a sun, crayon bright and innocent, and full of a future Marina wouldn't live to see. It's beautiful, baby. Marina pulled her niece close, breathing in the smell of strawberry shampoo and childhood. I love it. I love you too, Sophia said, more than the whole sky. Marina closed her eyes and felt the hollow space in her chest ache. Her phone buzzed. Day 2 complete, 28 remaining. The car comes at 2 p.m. sharp. I suggest you don't keep me waiting. Below the text, another photo. This one of Marina herself, taken through the warehouse window today, head pressed against Azrael's shoulder during the extraction. She looked small, broken, like someone already dying. The caption, "You lean into the pain. Interesting." Marina deleted the message and wondered what happened to people when they lost their souls piece by piece. If they became hollows. If they became monsters. If, at the end, there was any difference at all. By day 7, Marina had stopped flinching when Azrael touched her. Not because it hurt less. If anything, the pain was getting worse as the hollow spaces in her soul grew larger. But because flinching took energy she no longer had. She sat in the warehouse at 2 p.m. like clockwork, watching him move around the space with that predatory grace that made her skin prickle. Today he wore a black shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and she could see the veins in his forearms pulsing with that strange luminescence. Gold on one arm, shadow dark on the other. You look terrible, he said without preamble. Thanks. You look like a nightmare, so I guess we're even. Something that might have been amusement flickered in his golden eye. You're getting sharper. Most people get duller as I extract their souls. More compliant. Quieter. Maybe my soul was already pretty damaged. Not much left to take. Marina leaned back in the chair, exhausted. She'd worked a 12-hour shift, and there was a coded patient's face burned into her retinas. 19 years old. Motorcycle accident. Brain dead, but his heart kept beating while his mother screamed in the hallway. Do you enjoy this? Taking pieces of people? Azrael stopped. Moving. Turned to face her fully. No. Then why do it? Because the alternative is worse. He moved closer, and Marina tracked the way shadows seemed to follow him, clinging to his shoulders like living things. I told you. Heaven wants me purified. Hell wants me enslaved. This, he gestured between them, is the price of my freedom. I collect debts for both sides, stay valuable enough that killing me costs more than keeping me alive. So you're a slave too, just with better accommodations. Marina heard the bitterness in her own voice. We're both trapped in contracts we didn't ask for. Your sister asked. My sister was desperate and scared, and probably didn't believe you were real until it was too late. Marina's hands clenched. And I'm betting you counted on that. On people being desperate enough to sign without reading the fine print. Azrael's jaw tightened. Careful, Miss Reyes. Or what? You'll kill me faster? We both know you can't. Contract specifies. 30 days, right? Gradual extraction. You're as bound by this as I am. She stood up, swaying slightly. The hollowness in her chest made balance harder now, made everything harder. So tell me the truth. Do you have a choice in this? Any of it? The warehouse went very quiet. When Azrael spoke again, his voice was low. Dangerous. No, I don't. The contract binds me as completely as it binds you. If I don't complete the extraction, if I break the terms, heaven and hell will both come for me. And what they'll do? His mismatched eyes blazed. Execution would be a mercy compared to what they'll do. Then we're both victims here. Don't. The word came out sharp. Don't try to humanize me. Don't try to make this into some tragic romance where the monster has a heart of gold. I've killed 47 people extracting their souls before you. 47 contracts fulfilled. Your sister makes 48, and you'll be 49. I stopped counting guilt decades ago. Marina felt something cold settle in her stomach. 47 people. Yes. No remorse in his voice. No softness. Would you like their names? Their stories? The teacher who sold her soul for her daughter's cancer treatment. The veteran who wanted money to pay for his buddy's funeral. The mother of 3 who... Stop. Marina pressed her hands over her ears. Just stop. But Azrael kept talking, relentless. You want the truth? Here it is. I am not conflicted. I am not torn. I am doing exactly what I was made to do. Existing in the space between damnation and salvation, collecting the debts that fuel the cosmic balance. Your soul is payment 28 through 56 in a ledger that spans centuries. You are not special. You are not different. You are simply next. The words should have broken her, should have sent her running. Instead, Marina lowered her hands and looked at him. Really looked. At the way his fingers trembled slightly at his sides. At the tension in his shoulders. At the way... His black eye reflected her face while his golden one seemed to burn with something that wasn't quite anger. You're lying, she said softly. Excuse me? You're lying. Not about the 47 people. That's probably true. But about not being conflicted. Marina took a step toward him, watching how he stiffened. If you weren't conflicted, you wouldn't have told me the contract binds you too. You would have let me think you enjoyed this. That you had power over me. I do have power over you. His voice dropped to something lethal. I could take everything right now. Rip your soul out whole and damn the consequences. But you won't, because you're terrified of what they'll do to you if you break the rules. Marina was close enough now to see the inhuman geometry of his irises, the way the gold one seemed to spin slowly like a coin. You act like a monster because that's what keeps you safe. But I watched you during yesterday's extraction. You held me steady so I wouldn't fall. You counted my breaths. That's not a creature without conscience. That's someone who hates what he has to do. Stop talking. Azrael's hands were fists now. Make me... Marina tilted her chin up. Oh, wait. You can't. Not outside the extraction parameters. Because the contract protects me as much as it condemns me. For 23 more days, I'm untouchable except during payment. So I can say whatever I want, and you have to listen. Something snapped in his expression. 1 second, he was across the room. The next, his hand was around her throat. Not squeezing, just holding. And his face was inches from hers. You think you understand me? You think 7 days of extractions gives you insight into what I am? Marina's pulse hammered against his palm. I think you're as trapped as I am. I think you've been alone so long you've forgotten what it feels like to have someone see you. Really see you. Not the collector. Not the Nephilim. You. For a long moment, they stayed frozen. Marina could feel heat radiating from his golden eye side, cold from his black eye side, and where they met against her skin. Something electric and wrong. Azrael's thumb rested against her racing pulse. I killed my mother, he said finally, voice raw. She was an angel, pure, beautiful. She tried to burn the demon out of me when I was 16. said she could save me if she just burned away the corruption. She tied me down and started the ritual, and I felt my demon half rising, screaming, fighting. And when I got free, his grip tightened fractionally. I ripped her wings off, watched them burn to ash, watched her fall. She begged me to stop, called me her baby boy even while I was killing her. Marina couldn't breathe, couldn't look away. So don't tell me I'm conflicted. Don't tell me I have humanity left. I murdered the only person who ever loved me because the alternative was letting her destroy half of what I am. His mismatched eyes bored into hers. I am exactly the monster you should fear. Then why are you shaking? Marina whispered. Azriel's hand dropped from her throat like she'd burned him. He stepped back, and for the first time since they'd met, he looked genuinely rattled. Get out. We haven't done today's extraction. I said, get out. His voice was harsh, broken. Come back tomorrow. I can't. Not today. Just go. Marina should have left, should have run while he was giving her an out. Instead, she moved closer. She was going to kill you. What you did was unforgivable. The warehouse lights flickered. Don't make excuses for me. Don't try to absolve me. I am damned by both sides for a reason. Maybe. Marina's chest ached with the 7 hollow spaces he'd carved into her soul. Or maybe you're just someone who chose survival. And maybe that makes you human after all. Azriel stared at her like she'd spoken in a language he didn't understand. Then his phone rang, shattering the moment. He answered it, listened, and his expression went cold. Predatory. When he hung up, the vulnerability was gone, replaced by something ancient and dangerous. There's been a complication, he said flatly. A terminal patient at your hospital. Room 412. He's trying to make a deal, selling his soul for 1 more week with his granddaughter. Marina's blood went cold. Mr. Herrera, he's 78, lung cancer. His granddaughter flies in from Seattle tomorrow. He just summoned me, crossroads deal, which means I have to go collect. Azriel's mismatched eyes locked on hers. You wanted to see what I really am? Come with me. Watch me work. You're going to take a dying man's soul? I'm going to give him what he asked for. 7 days with his granddaughter. Then I'm going to collect payment. He moved toward the door. The car leaves in 5 minutes. Your choice, Miss Reyes. Stay here in your comfortable ignorance, or see exactly what kind of monster holds your leash. Marina got in the car. She told herself it was morbid curiosity. Told herself she needed to understand what Azriel really was, what he really did, so she could stop seeing glimpses of humanity in a creature that had none. But the truth she wouldn't admit even to herself, was that she couldn't let him go alone to take Mr. Herrera's soul. As if her presence would somehow make a difference. The drive to Mercy General took 12 minutes. Azriel sat across from her in the back seat, staring out the window with an expression carved from stone. In the passing streetlights, his face shifted between beautiful and terrible, the duality of his heritage written in flesh and bone. He's a good man, Marina said quietly. Mr. Herrera. He volunteers at the community center, teaches kids woodworking. His wife died 3 years ago, and his granddaughter is all he has left. They're always good people. Azriel didn't look at her. The ones desperate enough to summon me. Bad people rarely care enough about others to sell their souls. Then why take them? Because they offer. Because the cosmic balance demands payment. Because if I don't, someone worse will. His mismatched eyes finally turned to her. You think I'm the villain in these stories? I'm just the accountant. Heaven and hell make the rules. I just process the paperwork. The hospital parking garage was nearly empty at this hour. Marina's badge got them past security without questions, and she led Azriel through the familiar maze of corridors to the oncology ward. The night shift. Nurse looked up as they approached, but her eyes slid right past Azriel like he wasn't there. He can't see me, Azriel said, noticing her confusion. Most humans can't. Unless I want them to. or unless they're dying. The dying always see clearly. Room 412 was dark, except for the blue glow of monitors. Mr. Herrera lay in the bed, oxygen tube in his nose, body wasted by the cancer eating him from the inside. But his eyes were open, alert. And when they landed on Azrael, something like relief crossed his face. "You came," the old man whispered. "Wasn't sure it would work. The summoning. Found the ritual on some Reddit post about..." He coughed, wet and rattling. "Doesn't matter. You're here. That's what matters." Azrael moved to the bedside with that predatory grace. "You called. I answered. You know the terms? 7 days. You give me 7 days healthy enough to spend with my Rosita. Then you take..." Mr. Herrera's voice cracked. "You take what's left. Your soul," Azrael clarified. "Every fragment. You'll die empty. No afterlife. No reunion with your wife. Just void." Marina's hands clenched. She wanted to scream at Mr. Herrera to take it back, to choose the week with his granddaughter mourning him properly instead of this borrowed time that would cost him eternity. But the old man was nodding, tears streaming down his weathered face. "I know. But Rosita, she's getting married next month. I won't make it that long. The doctors said days, maybe a week if I'm lucky. But I can't. I can't leave without seeing her happy, without walking her down the aisle." His eyes found Marina's. "You understand, mija. You'd do anything for your little girl, wouldn't you?" "She's my niece," Marina said, throat tight. "But yes, I'd do anything." "Then you understand." Mr. Herrera looked back at Azrael. "I accept. Give me 7 days. Take whatever you want after." Azrael's expression didn't change. Contracts require blood. He produced a knife from somewhere, the blade catching the monitor light. It looked old, older than the hospital, older than the city maybe. When he pricked Mr. Herrera's finger, the blood that welled up looked black in the darkness. "Speak the words," Azrael commanded. 7 days of health in exchange for your eternal soul." Mr. Herrera repeated them, voice steady despite the tears. The moment he finished, Azrael pressed his palm to the old man's chest, and light erupted from his golden eye, cascading down his arm in waves of pure, burning radiance. Marina gasped. The light was wrong, too bright, too clean, and where it touched Mr. Herrera's body, the cancer retreated. She watched in horror and awe as color flooded back into the old man's face, as his breathing deepened and steadied, as decades of illness melted away like snow in summer. But there was a cost. She could see it in the way Azrael's body tensed, in the way veins bulged in his neck, in the way his black eye began to smoke with dark tendrils that coiled around. His shoulders. The angelic light healing Mr. Herrera was pulling something from Azrael himself, burning him from the inside out. "Stop," Marina said. "You're hurting yourself. Healing requires sacrifice." Azrael's voice was strained. "The angel side gives, the demon side takes. Balance." The light intensified until Marina had to shield her eyes. When it finally faded, Mr. Herrera sat up in bed, looking like a man of 50 instead of 78. The oxygen tube fell away. The monitors showed vitals that would make a marathon runner jealous. And Azrael collapsed. Marina caught him before he hit the floor, his weight driving them both to their knees. His skin was burning hot on one side, freezing cold on the other. And when she looked at his face, his golden eye had dimmed to barely a spark, while his black eye writhed with shadows that seemed to have minds of their own. "You idiot," she hissed. "Why didn't you tell me it would do this to you?" "Doesn't matter." He tried to stand. Failed, slumped against her. "Contract fulfilled. 7 days. Mark your calendar, old man. I'll be back." Mr. Herrera was staring at his own hands like they belonged to someone else. I feel 20 years old. This is temporary." Azrael's voice was weak. "Enjoy it while it lasts." Marina helped him to his feet, or tried to. He was heavier than he looked, and the shadows pouring from his black eye were making the fluorescent lights flicker and die. "We need to get you out of here before someone sees. They can't see me, remember?" But he was leaning on her now, and she could feel both sides of his dual nature warring under his skin. The angel side depleted, the demon side surging to fill the void. They made it to the parking garage before Azrael's legs gave out entirely. Marina guided him to the ground, back against a concrete pillar, and watched in horrified fascination as the shadows from his black eye spread across half his face like bruises. "What's happening to you?" "Balance." The word came out garbled. "Use too much angelic power. Demon side compensating. Need time to..." He convulsed, head slamming back against the pillar. "Need to feed it. The demon half. Blood or pain or what?" His black eye fixed on her, and Marina saw something primordial and hungry swimming in those depths. Or terror. Fear is a delicacy for demons, and you... His hand shot out, grabbing her wrist with bruising force. "You're afraid right now. I can taste it." Marina's heart hammered. The creature holding her wrist wasn't Azrael anymore, or not entirely. It was the demon half unleashed, and she could feel it pulling at something inside her that had nothing to do with the 7 pieces of soul already missing. "Let go," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Can't." His grip tightened. So hungry, burned so much to heal him. Need to take something back, Marina did the only thing she could think of. She pressed her free hand to his chest, to the side that should be angelic, and thought about every moment of compassion she'd witnessed from him. The way he'd held her steady during extractions. The way he'd counted her breaths. The way he'd looked when he'd confessed to killing his mother. Broken, and haunted, and utterly human. "You're not just the demon half," she said firmly. "You're both. Angel and demon. That's what makes you you." For a moment, nothing happened. Then light flickered beneath her palm, weak but present, and the shadows retreated, fractionally from his face. Azrael's grip on her wrist loosened. "That's not how it works," he rasped. "The sides don't balance on their own. One always dominates. Then make them balance." Marina kept her hand pressed to his chest, feeling the too slow heartbeat beneath. "You told me you've survived centuries. You don't do that by letting one side win. You do it by forcing them into equilibrium. You sound like..." He stopped, swallowed. "Like my mother. Before she decided the demon half needed to be burned out. I'm not trying to burn anything out. I'm trying to keep you alive long enough to torment me for 23 more days." Marina felt tears prick her eyes and blinked them back. "So get it together. Balance yourself. Because if you lose control here, they'll see you. Heaven and hell both. And then we're both dead." Something in her words must have reached him. Azrael closed his eyes, and Marina watched as he physically wrestled his dual nature back into submission. The shadows receded slowly. The light in his golden eyes strengthened. When he finally looked at her again, both eyes were his own. "You should have left me," he said quietly. "Probably." Marina pulled her hand back. "But apparently I'm an idiot who saves monsters." "Why?" The question was raw, vulnerable. "Because you saved Mr. Herrera, even though it cost you, even though it hurt." She stood up, offering him her hand. "That's not something a complete monster would do." Azrael stared at her hand for a long moment. Then he took it, letting her help him to his feet. He was still weak, still trembling slightly, but the immediate danger had passed. 7 days, he said. Then I collect his soul, and there will be nothing merciful about it. I know. And in 23 days, I collect yours. I know that too. Marina's voice was steady. But today, you gave a dying man a chance to walk his granddaughter down the aisle. Today, you were something other than a collector of debts. Azrael's mismatched eyes searched her face. Don't make me into something I'm not. I'm not. Marina turned toward the car. I'm just seeing what you actually are. whether you like it or not." Behind her, she heard him whisper something too soft to catch. It sounded like a prayer, or maybe a curse. With him, it was impossible to tell the difference. Day 14 arrived with rain that turned the city gray and cold. Marina stood at the warehouse door, hand hovering over the handle, trying to ignore how hollow her chest felt now. 14 extractions. 14 pieces of her soul carved away. She could feel the emptiness when she breathed, when she moved, when she tried to remember what it felt like to be whole. Inside, Azrael was waiting by the window, watching rain streak the glass. He'd been different since the night with Mr. Herrera. Quieter, more careful with his words. He no longer pretended to be the unfeeling monster, and somehow that made everything worse. "You're late," he said without turning around. 3 minutes. Marina closed the door behind her. "Traffic. Liar. You sat in the car for 5 minutes working up the courage to come inside." He finally looked at her, and his mismatched eyes tracked over her face with something that might have been concern. "You're losing weight, not sleeping. Hard to sleep when you're dying piece by piece." Marina moved to the chair they used for extractions. It was becoming routine now, this dance of destruction. "Let's just get it over with." But Azrael didn't move. "I had a visitor last night. From heaven." Marina's blood went cold. "What?" "An angel. Low-level bureaucrat from the Department of Abomination Management." His voice was bitter. "Wanted to verify I was still fulfilling contracts, still useful. They're always watching, waiting for me to slip up, give them an excuse to..." He stopped, ran a hand through his hair. "The point is, he saw you. Through the surveillance they keep on me. He asked questions." "What kind of, questions?" "Why you're still alive at day 14. Why I haven't just taken everything and finished early." Azrael's golden eye blazed. "Why I look at you like..." He cut himself off again. "The contract says 30 days. I'm following the terms exactly. But he's suspicious, which means others will be soon." Marina's heart hammered. "So what does that mean for us?" "It means we need to be more careful. It means..." Azrael crossed to her, and for the first time, she saw genuine fear in his expression. "It means if they think I'm compromised, if they think I'm developing feelings that interfere with collections, they'll execute me, and they'll take you anyway. Your soul will be payment for my failure." "Feelings?" Marina's voice came out smaller than she intended. Azrael looked away. Don't what?" "Don't notice that you've started bringing coffee for me? That you count my breaths during extractions to make sure I'm okay? That yesterday you stopped halfway through because I was shaking too hard?" Marina stood up, closing the distance between them. "Don't notice that you're trying to make this easier for me even though it costs you? I'm following the contract. The contract doesn't require coffee." Marina's voice cracked. "The contract doesn't require you to check on me between sessions, to send messages asking if Sophia is okay, to..." She pressed a hand to her hollow chest. "To look at me like losing me actually matters. Stop." Azrael's hands were fists. "You don't understand what you're asking. If I care, if I let myself feel anything beyond obligation, they'll know. They'll come. And what they do to Nephilim who break formation..." His voice went raw. "They don't just kill us. They unmake us, strip away everything we are layer by layer, until there's nothing left but screaming. I watched them do it to another half-breed who fell in love with a human. It took 3 weeks. He begged for death every second." Marina felt tears burn her eyes. "Then don't care. Don't feel anything. Just take what's left of my soul and move on to victim number 50. "I can't." The admission came out broken. "I've tried. For 14 days I've tried to see you as just another contract, another name in the ledger. But you..." He grabbed her shoulders, not roughly, but desperately. "You saw me. really saw me. Not the Nephilim, not the collector. Me. The thing caught between damnation and salvation with nowhere to belong. And now I can't. I can't stop seeing you. Either. Marina's breath caught. Azrael, don't say my name like that. His grip tightened. Like it means something. Like I'm something worth saving. You saved Mr. Herrera even though it nearly destroyed you. You've made my last days bearable instead of just painful. You check on Sophia without me asking, because you know I worry about what happens to her after. Marina reached up, cupping his face, feeling the temperature difference between his angel side and demon side. You're already worth saving. You just don't believe it. Because I'm not. But he didn't pull away from her touch. In 16 days, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to take the last pieces of your soul and watch the light leave your eyes. And I'll do it because the alternative is worse. That's not someone worth saving. That's a coward. Or a survivor. Marina's thumb brushed his cheekbone, and she felt him tremble. You told me you chose survival when you killed your mother. Maybe choosing to complete this. Contract is the same thing. Survival at a terrible cost. Don't make excuses for me. But his forehead dropped to hers, and Marina could feel his too slow heartbeat synchronizing with her damaged one. Don't make me into something I'm not. I'm not. I'm just seeing what's actually there. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I'm seeing someone who's been alone for so long that kindness feels like weakness. Someone who's convinced himself that if he doesn't care, it won't hurt when he has to. Destroy the people he's come to. She stopped. The word hung between them, unspoken but deafening. Azrael's hands slid from her shoulders to her waist, pulling her closer. We can't. Even if I wanted, even if we both, the contract. I know. Marina's hands fisted in his shirt. I know it doesn't change anything. I still die in 16 days. You still have to kill me. But for right now, for this moment, can we pretend there's a different ending? His mismatched eyes searched hers, and Marina saw centuries of loneliness in those inhuman depths, saw the war between angel and demon, between duty and desire, between what he had to do and what he wanted. If I kiss you, he said slowly, carefully, I'll taste the missing pieces of your soul. I'll feel the hollow spaces I've carved into you. It will make finishing this so much harder. Then let it be hard. Marina rose on her toes, closing the distance. Let it cost you something too. Because I'm tired of being the only one who's losing everything. When their lips met, Marina understood why poets wrote about kisses like they were religious experiences. Because this was divine and damned in equal measure. Azrael's mouth was soft and desperate, and she could taste eternity on his tongue, bitter and sweet and ancient. His hands tangled in her hair like she was the only solid thing in a universe of chaos. And she could feel it, the way his angel side ached with the loss of her soul's missing pieces, the way his demon side craved what remained. The duality of him reflected in the duality of the kiss, reverent and ravenous, gentle and desperate, like he was trying to memorize her and destroy her simultaneously. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Azrael's eyes were blazing, the gold one bright as sunlight, the black one swirling with shadows that seemed almost gentle. This changes nothing, he said, but his hands were still in her hair, still holding her like she mattered. I know. In 16 days, I know. Marina pressed her hand to his chest, feeling the war waging beneath his ribs. But today, right now, you're not just the collector, and I'm not just the contract. We're just two people who should never have met. Azrael's voice was rough. Two people who can't have a future. Two people who have 16 days. Marina stepped back, and the loss of his warmth felt like another extraction. So are we doing today's session, or are you going to keep stalling? Something that might have been admiration flickered across his face. You're braver than your sister was. Or stupider. Marina sat in the extraction chair. Probably stupider. Azrael knelt in front of her, and when his hands found her temples this time, there was something different in his touch. Something reverent beneath the necessary cruelty. This is going to hurt. It always does. Marina closed her eyes. Just don't let go. I won't. His voice was a promise. Not until I have to. The extraction was agony, worse than the previous 14 combined, because now Marina knew what she was losing wasn't just pieces of her soul. It was pieces of a future she'd let herself imagine for 5 stolen minutes. A future where Azrael wasn't bound by cosmic contracts, where she didn't have a death sentence counting down, where 2 broken people could find something whole in each other. When it was over, when Azrael pulled back with her soul fragment glowing between his palms before it, dissipated into nothing, Marina saw tears on his face. They tracked down only one side, the angel side, while the demon side remained dry. 15 left, he whispered. 15 more pieces, and then you'll have all of me. Marina touched his face, catching a tear on her finger. Angel tears. I didn't know you could cry. I can't. The demon half won't allow it. But the angel half... His voice broke. The angel half is mourning you. Mourning us. Mourning the cosmic joke that finally brought me someone who sees me, and I have to destroy her to survive. Marina pulled him close, and he collapsed against her, head on her shoulder, this ancient creature falling apart in her arms. Outside, rain hammered the warehouse roof. Thunder rolled, and Marina held a Nephilim who'd killed 48 people before her and would kill her in 16 days, and she felt something she shouldn't feel. She felt safe. Day 21 came with a discovery that changed everything. Marina was at the Sahara warehouse early, exhausted from another sleepless night. 21 extractions had left her feeling translucent, like she was slowly becoming a ghost. She could see through her own hands sometimes when the light hit right, could feel the wind pass through the hollow spaces in her chest. Azrael was pacing when she arrived, and something was different. Wrong. His movements were jerky, agitated, and both his eyes were blazing, gold and black swirling together in a way she'd never seen before. We have a problem, he said without preamble. Marina's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? I found something, in the contract archives. He thrust a piece of aged parchment at her, the edges burned and crumbling. Your sister's original contract. I've reviewed it 100 times, but last night I couldn't sleep. So I looked again. Closer. And I found... He pointed to a line of text so small Marina had to squint. This. A clause written in the demon's blood, not ink. Hidden under a glamour that only breaks when the contract is more than halfway complete. Marina's hands shook as she read the words. Once. Twice. 3 times before they made sense. It says, if the collector willingly offers his own soul in exchange for the contracted soul before completion, both parties become mortal. Azrael's voice was hollow. Fully human. No powers, no immortality, no dual nature, just human, limited, breakable, temporary. Marina looked up at him, heart hammering. That's the loophole. That's how we both survive. No. The word came out sharp. Absolutely not. Why not? You said you've been trapped by this existence for centuries. You said heaven and hell both want you dead. This is a way out. A way out that leaves me defenseless. Azrael grabbed the parchment back, crumpling it. Do you understand what I am without my powers? Nothing. Less than nothing. I have enemies, Marina. Centuries of them. Angels who want revenge for contracts that benefited hell. Demons who want revenge for contracts that benefited heaven. Other Nephilim who see me as competition. The second I become human, they'll come for me, and I'll die. Slowly. Painfully. Screaming. Or you'll live. Marina stood up, moving closer. Really live. not just exist in the space between damnation and salvation. You could have a life, a real one. I'd have maybe a week before someone finds me and rips me apart. His mismatched eyes were wild. You're asking me to choose certain death over certain survival. I'm asking you to choose freedom over imprisonment. Marina's voice cracked. You told me you're tired, that you've been alone for so long. This is a chance to be something other than a collector, to be weak, vulnerable, human. Azrael turned away from her. Everything I've spent centuries avoiding becoming. Everything you've spent centuries wishing you could be, Marina countered. Don't lie to me. Not now. I've seen how you look at normal people, at couples holding hands in the park, at families eating dinner together. You watch them with the same hunger I've seen dying patients watch the living. Like you're already dead and just going through the motions. Better going through the motions than actually dying. But his voice lacked conviction. Marina moved behind him, pressing her forehead between his shoulder blades. She could feel the war raging in him. Angel and demon sides fighting for dominance, both terrified of the same thing. Change. What if you didn't have to die? She said quietly. What if we ran, disappeared, changed our names? I know how to live small, how to be invisible. I've been doing it since my sister died, keeping my head down, avoiding attention. I could teach you. They'd find us. But he didn't pull away from her touch. You don't understand how persistent they are. Angels have eternity to hunt. Demons have patience measured in eons. Running just delays the inevitable. Maybe they'd move on to easier targets. Other Nephilim. Other contracts. Marina's arms wrapped around his waist. You said yourself, you're valuable because you're useful. But if you're human, if you can't fulfill contracts anymore, maybe you stop being worth the effort to hunt. Azrael was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw. And what about you? If I take this deal, you become human too. Fully human. But you'd still have... He turned in her arms, and she saw anguish in his face. Marina, I've already taken 21 pieces of your soul. Those don't come back. Even if the contract breaks, even if you live, you'll be damaged, incomplete. You'll feel the loss for the rest of your life. I already feel it. Marina pressed her hand to the hollow space in her chest. Every breath, every heartbeat. I feel what's missing, but I'd rather feel that and be alive with you than feel nothing at all because I'm dead. You don't know what you're asking. Humans with damaged souls, they struggle. Depression, emptiness, the inability to feel joy the way they used to. His hands cupped her face. I'd be condemning you to a half-life, as opposed to the no life I'm currently scheduled for. Marina laughed, bitter and broken. At least this way I get to see Sophia grow up, get to watch her graduate, get married, have kids. Even if I feel empty doing it, at least I'm there. Azrael's eyes closed. You're asking me to be selfish, to save myself at the cost of your wholeness. I'm asking you to let us both survive. Marina rose on her toes, kissing him softly. I'm asking you to choose the possibility of happiness over the certainty of my death. When she pulled back, she saw something shift in his expression. The war between his dual natures seemed to quiet, and for the first time since she'd met him, Azrael looked, decided. If I do this, he said slowly, if I offer my soul in exchange for yours, the transformation is immediate, irreversible. I lose everything, powers, immortality, the ability to see into the supernatural world. I become as vulnerable as you are. Okay, and they will come for us. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, someone will find us, and we'll have to run. Keep running, for however long we have. Okay. Marina's heart was hammering so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. And you'll live with the damage I've already done. 21 pieces of your soul gone forever. You'll feel incomplete, hollow, for the rest of your life. I already said okay. Marina grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. Stop trying to talk me out of survival. Stop trying to be noble. Just choose to live. Choose us. Even if it's messy and complicated and dangerous. Choose the possibility instead of the certainty of my death. Azrael stared at her for a long moment. Then he kissed her, hard and desperate, and Marina tasted fear and hope, and something that might have been love on his tongue. We do this now, he said against her lips. Before I lose my nerve. Before heaven or hell catches wind of what we're planning. How does it work? Blood ritual. Same as all contracts. He pulled the knife from somewhere, the ancient blade that had drawn Mr. Herrera's blood 3 weeks ago. I speak the words. Offer my soul freely in place of yours. The contract accepts or rejects based on the authenticity of the offer. If it accepts, he stopped, swallowed. If it accepts, the transformation is instant and painful. Mortality isn't gentle. Marina held out her hand. Then let's stop wasting time. Azrael pricked her finger first, then his own. Their blood mingled, and Marina watched as it turned from red to gold to black, swirling together like oil and water trying to mix. I, Azrael, born of angel and demon, collector of souls, keeper of contracts. His voice was steady, formal. Do hereby offer my immortal soul, freely and without coercion, in exchange for the soul of Marina Reyes. I claim her debt as my own. I accept her death as mine. I choose mortality over eternity, weakness over power, and her life over my own. The air in the warehouse went still, silent, like the universe was holding its breath. Then light exploded from Azrael's body, blinding and terrible, and he screamed. Marina caught him as he fell, and she felt the moment his immortality shattered. Felt the angel half and demon half rip apart, not fragmenting like she'd feared, but dissolving, becoming something singular, something human. His skin burned hot, then cold, then hot again. His mismatched eyes rolled back, and Marina held him through it, whispering nonsense and prayers and promises into his hair while he convulsed in her arms. When it finally stopped, when the light faded and the screaming cut off, Azrael lay still, too still. Marina pressed her fingers to his neck, searching for a pulse, and nearly sobbed when she found it. But it was wrong. Too fast, too irregular, human fragile, and mortal weak. His eyes opened slowly, and Marina gasped. Both eyes were the same color now, a warm brown, human brown. No gold, no black, just ordinary. Did it work? His voice was hoarse, raw. Are you... Marina pressed her hand to her chest, and for the first time in 21 days, the hollow spaces didn't ache. They were still there, still empty, but the pulling sensation, the feeling of something being slowly extracted, was gone. It worked. Tears streamed down her face. Oh God, it worked. Azrael tried to sit up, failed, and Marina saw genuine pain cross his face. Mortal pain. I can't feel them anymore. Heaven, hell, the contracts, it's all gone, silent. Is that good or bad? I don't know. He looked at his hands, turning them over like they belonged to someone else. I've never been just one thing before. Always two, always at war. But now I'm just... He met her eyes. Just me. Whatever that means. Marina helped him to his feet, and he swayed unsteady. We need to leave, now, before word spreads about what we did. Can they still track you? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. Azrael grabbed her hand. But we have a head start, and you were right. I'm not worth as much effort now. I'm just another human. Weak, breakable, temporary. We're both temporary now. Marina squeezed his hand. So let's not waste it. They ran. They had 3 days before heaven found them. Marina knew because she woke up on the 4th morning in the motel outside Albuquerque and found Azrael standing at the window, body rigid, staring at the parking lot with an expression she'd learned to recognize as fear. "They're here," he said without turning around. "I can't feel them anymore. Can't sense them the way I used to. But I know. The air tastes wrong. Metallic. Like ozone before a lightning strike." Marina joined him at the window, following his gaze. The parking lot looked ordinary. A few cars, a family loading luggage, a businessman on his phone. Nothing supernatural, nothing threatening. Then she saw him. A man in a gray suit, standing perfectly still beside a white sedan. Not moving, not blinking, just standing, staring directly at their motel room with eyes that caught the morning light wrong. "Angel?" Marina whispered. "Yes." Azrael's jaw was tight. "Low-level enforcer. They send these ones to verify targets before dispatching executioners, which means we have maybe an hour, maybe less." Marina's heart hammered. They'd been running for 3 days. Azrael's car abandoned in the warehouse district, bus tickets, purchased with cash, switching routes every few hours, avoiding cameras. She'd called her supervisor at the hospital and quit over text. Called Mrs. Chen and begged her to watch Sophia for a few weeks, promised to explain everything later. 3 days of running, sleeping in shifts, eating gas station food, and existing in a constant state of adrenaline-fueled terror. And now they were out of time. "What do we do?" Marina was already grabbing their bag, shoving their few belongings inside. Back. Door. Steal a car? Call the police? Police can't help against angels. Azrael finally moved, pulling on his jacket with movements that were still adjusting to mortal limitations. He'd spent 3 days learning how to be human, how pain lingered instead of healing instantly, how exhaustion accumulated, how hunger gnawed instead of being an abstract concept. And there's no back door they haven't covered. They're thorough. So we just... what? Wait for them to kill us? No. Azrael turned to her, and Marina saw something fierce in his brown eyes. Still human. Still mortal. But not defeated. We fight. Not the way I used to. I don't have those powers anymore. But I know their protocols, their weaknesses, and I have 3 centuries of knowledge about how they operate. Knowledge doesn't stop angel blades. No, but it buys time. He grabbed her hand. There's a church 2 blocks from here, St. Anthony's. I saw it when we checked in. Churches are neutral ground. Ancient law. Angels can't attack inside consecrated spaces without permission from higher authorities. It'll give us hours. Maybe a day. Marina wanted to ask what happened after those hours ran out, but the way Azrael's hand trembled in hers told her he didn't have an answer. They left through the bathroom window, dropping into the alley behind the motel. Marina's nursing-trained body absorbed the impact wrong. She'd forgotten how fragile human bodies were, how easily they bruised, and pain shot through her ankle. Azrael caught her before she could fall, and they ran. The angel in the gray suit appeared at the alley entrance before they'd gone 10 feet. Up close, he looked almost human. Almost. But his eyes were too blue, too bright, and when he smiled, there were too many teeth. Azrael. His voice was pleasant, conversational. You've made quite the mess. Heaven's administrative department is very displeased about the broken contract. Hell's accounting division has filed 17 complaints. You've created a bureaucratic nightmare. My heart bleeds. Azrael positioned himself between Marina and the angel. Tell them I'm retired. No longer their problem. Oh, but you are their problem. You see, when Nephilim break contracts, it sets precedent. Other half-breeds might get ideas, might think they can choose mortality over service. Can't have that. The angel's smile widened. So we're here to correct the error. You die. She dies. Balance restores. Everyone's happy. Everyone except us, Marina said, surprised by the steadiness in her own voice. The angel's 2 blue eyes fixed on her. You're already incomplete. 21 pieces missing. Most humans can't function with that much damage. The fact that you're standing is impressive, but you'll never be whole. Never feel joy the way you used to. Every happy moment will be muted. Every connection will feel distant. You're already a ghost. We'd be doing you a mercy. I don't want your mercy. Marina's hand found Azrael's. I want my life. Even if it's damaged. Even if it's hard. It's mine. Touching. The angel took a step forward. But irrelevant. You're both... Azrael moved. It wasn't the supernatural speed he'd once possessed. It was pure human desperation, grabbing a metal trash can lid and swinging it at the angel's head with everything he had. The impact rang out like a bell, and the angel stumbled back, surprised more than hurt. Run! Azrael shoved Marina toward the street. Church, go! Marina ran, hearing the sounds of fighting behind her, human fists against angelic flesh, mortal strength against celestial power. It was uneven, brutal, but it bought her seconds. She burst onto the street, and there was the church, white stone, red door, cross gleaming in the morning sun. 2 blocks. She could make 2 blocks. Behind her, she heard Azrael scream. Marina's feet stuttered. Every instinct screamed at her to go back, to help. But she remembered his words. Churches are neutral ground. If she could reach it, if she could claim sanctuary, maybe? Another angel materialized in front of her. This one female, with silver hair and eyes like winter frost. Where exactly do you think you're going? The female angel's voice was cold, clinical. Did you really think consecrated ground would save you? That's adorable. Nephilim aren't protected by those laws. Neither are humans who've willingly damaged their souls through contract magic. Marina's blood turned to ice. But Azrael said Azrael was wrong, or desperate, or both. The angel moved closer. It's almost sad. He gave up everything, his immortality, his power, his purpose. And for what? A few days of pretending to be human? A doomed love story with an incomplete woman? Better 3 days of freedom than 3 centuries of slavery, Marina spat. The angel tilted her head, considering. You know what? You might be right. Let's test that theory. She reached out, and Marina felt cold fingers wrap around her throat. Not squeezing, just holding. The touch burned like frostbite, and Marina gasped, clawing at the hand that was slowly, inexorably draining the warmth from her body. This is how angels kill, the female said conversationally. We don't stab or strangle. We simply remove heat, remove life. You'll freeze from the inside out, organs shutting down one by one. It takes about 3 minutes. Plenty of time to reconsider your choices. Marina's vision blurred. Her fingers were going numb. She thought of Sophia waiting for her to come. Home. Thought of Azrael fighting in an alley for a future they'd never have. Thought of the 21 pieces of her soul scattered into nothing, and wondered if dying incomplete meant she'd cease to exist entirely. Then she heard it. A roar of rage that sounded almost inhuman. Azrael crashed into the female angel with the full weight of his mortal body, and they went down in a tangle of limbs. The angel's grip broke, and Marina sucked in air that burned her frozen lungs. Azrael was bleeding. Bad. His shirt was torn and soaked with red, and there was a gash across his forehead that poured blood into his eyes. But he was fighting, using every dirty human trick, elbows to the face, knees to the ribs, thumbs aimed at eyes. No supernatural power, just desperation and love and the will to survive. The female angel threw him off easily, and he hit the pavement hard. Marina heard ribs crack. Pathetic. The angel stood, brushing off her clothes. This is what you chose? This weakness? Azrael coughed, blood on his lips. This weakness came for her. This weakness doesn't give up. This weakness... He struggled to his feet, swaying. This weakness loves her more than your cold perfection could ever understand. The angel raised her hand, preparing to deliver the killing blow. Then church bells rang. Marina looked up and saw the priest standing in the doorway of St. Anthony's, one hand on the bell rope, the other making the sign of the cross. He was old, maybe 70, with kind eyes that saw too much. "I offer sanctuary," he called out, voice carrying across the street. To both of them, under ancient law, under the covenant between heaven and humanity. The female angel's expression went glacial. "They don't qualify. I say they do." The priest's voice was firm. "And you will have to go through me to argue otherwise. Which means filing paperwork with your superiors, explaining why you violated neutral ground, triggering an investigation." He smiled. "I know the, bureaucracy is tedious. Easier to just let them go, isn't it?" Marina watched the calculation happen in the angel's too-perfect face, saw the moment pragmatism won over mission objectives. "You have 1 day," the angel said coldly. "After that, sanctuary laws expire, and we will come back." She vanished, and the gray-suited angel in the alley did the same. The street was suddenly ordinary again, morning sun warm on pavement, the sounds of traffic resuming like nothing had happened. Marina ran to Azrael, catching him as he collapsed. His breathing was shallow, ragged, and when she pressed her hands to his ribs, she felt the brakes grinding beneath skin. "Hospital," she gasped. "We need to get you to a hospital." "No hospitals. They'll track us." Azrael's brown eyes found hers. "Church, get me inside. I can heal there." Slowly. The human way. The priest helped them inside, asking no questions. Led them to a small room behind the altar with a cot and medical supplies. Bandages, antiseptic, pain medication. Marina worked with practiced efficiency, cleaning wounds, wrapping ribs, stitching the gash on Azrael's forehead with steady hands that only shook after she'd finished. "1 day," she said quietly as she worked. "They gave us 1 day. Then we have 1 day to figure out how to disappear completely." Azrael's hand found hers. "Or 1 day to say goodbye." Marina's needle paused. "I didn't give up 21 pieces of my soul just to say goodbye. Then we fight." His fingers squeezed hers. "Tomorrow, when they come back, we fight with everything we have. We're human," Marina whispered. "What can we possibly do against angels?" Azrael's smile was grim, determined, heartbreaking. "We remind them why humans are the only creatures in creation with free will. Why we're the only ones who can choose hope over certainty, love over survival. That sounds like a beautiful way to die." "Maybe." He pulled her down beside him on the cot. "But at least we die free." Outside, the church bells rang the hour. 24 chimes, 1 for each hour they had left. Marina pressed her face into Azrael's shoulder and tried not to count them. The angels came at dawn, exactly 24 hours after the priest offered sanctuary. Marina felt them before she saw them. A pressure in the air that made her damaged soul ache, made the hollow spaces in her chest throb like phantom limbs. She was sitting beside Azrael on the church steps, watching the sun paint the sky pink and gold, their hands intertwined like prayer. "They're here," Azrael said quietly. His ribs were still broken, wrapped tight beneath his shirt, but he'd refused more pain medication. Said he needed to feel everything, stay sharp. Multiple signatures. At least 5, maybe more. They're not taking chances this time. Marina's free hand trembled. 24 hours in the church had given them time to rest, to plan, to say all the things people say when they know they're running out of time. She'd called Sophia from the priest's phone, told her she loved her, that Tia Marina was on an adventure but would be home soon. The lie tasted like ash. "We could still run," Marina said, not because she believed it would work, but because she needed to hear him say it wouldn't. They'd track us, kill us before we made it 2 blocks. Azriel's brown eyes, still strange to her, still too human after seeing them mismatched for so long, met hers. But there's another option, one I didn't tell you about. Because I knew you'd argue. Marina's stomach dropped. What option? The ritual that made me mortal? It can be reversed. Partially. His voice was careful, measured. If I use my own life force as fuel, I can temporarily resurrect one side of my dual nature. Not permanently. Just long enough to fight. To give you time to run. No. The word came out flat. Final. Absolutely not. Marina? You're talking about killing yourself. That's what you mean by life force as fuel. You'd burn out your mortality to become Nephilim again for what? 5 minutes? 10? Her voice cracked. And then you'd just cease to exist. No afterlife. No second chances. Just gone. But you'd live. Azriel turned to face her fully, cupping her face with hands that were calloused now. Human rough. You'd have time to disappear. Take Sophia. Change your names. Live the life you deserve. Even if it's incomplete. Even if those 21 pieces never come back. You'd live. Tears burned Marina's eyes. Not without you. That's not living. That's just existing. Going through motions. I've done that before. I won't do it again. Then what do you suggest? His voice rose, desperate. Because in about 30 seconds, 5 angels are going to materialize on this street and execute us both. I don't have powers anymore. You're human. We have nothing. We have each other. Marina grabbed his shirt, pulling him close. And we have free will. You said it yourself. Humans are the only creatures who can choose hope. Over certainty. So let's choose. Not survival. Not sacrifice. Something else. Something they won't expect. Azriel stared at her. Like what? Marina didn't have an answer. Then she saw the priest watching them from the church doorway, and something clicked in her mind. Something impossible and insane and maybe, just crazy enough. Marry me, she said. Azriel blinked. What? Right now. Here. Before they come. Marina's words tumbled out faster. The priest can do it. 2 minutes. That's all we need. And then when the angels come, we don't fight them. We don't run. We just stand here, married, bound by human law and divine witness. Marina, that won't stop them. Won't it? She stood, pulling him up with her. You told me angels follow protocols, follow rules older than civilization. And one of those rules is that humans who bind themselves in matrimony under God's law are protected. Aren't they? That's why demonic possession can't touch married couples without both consenting. Why certain contracts become void after marriage vows. Azriel's expression shifted. Understanding. Then something like awe. You're insane. Probably. But am I wrong? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed. Broken and shocked and utterly human. It's the most ridiculous loophole I've ever heard. It might not even work. The angels could argue that I'm not human enough, that you're too damaged, that the marriage isn't valid. Or they could be forced to file paperwork and wait for a ruling from higher authorities while we disappear. Marina grabbed his hand. You said bureaucracy saved us yesterday. Let's use it again. Buy ourselves time. Even if it's just days or weeks. It's more than we have right now. The pressure in the air intensified. Marina could see them now. 5 figures materializing at the end of the street, dressed in gray suits, moving with synchronized precision that was both beautiful and terrifying. Father, Marina called to the priest. Can you marry us? Right now? Legally binding? The old priest's eyes widened, but he didn't hesitate. I can. Do you have rings? No rings. No time. Just, please, The fastest version. Whatever makes it legal. The priest positioned them on the church steps, one hand on Marina's shoulder, one on Azriel's. The angels were halfway down the street now, moving slowly, deliberately, giving them time to panic, to run, to make it interesting. Do you, Marina Elena Reyes, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? The priest's voice was rushed but steady. To have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part. Marina looked at Azriel, at this creature who'd been angel and demon, and was now just a broken man with brown eyes and cracked ribs, and 3 centuries of loneliness finally ending. I do. And do you? The priest faltered. I'm sorry. I don't know your full name. Just Azriel. His voice was soft. Always. Just Azriel. Do you, Azriel, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? To have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part. The angels were 20 feet away now. Close enough that Marina could see the silver-haired female from yesterday, could see the cold calculation in her winter frost eyes. Azriel's hand squeezed Marina's. I do. Then by the power vested in me by God and the state of New Mexico, I pronounce you husband and wife. The priest made the sign of the cross over them. What God has joined together, let no man or angel put asunder. The angels stopped. Actually stopped, 10 feet from the church steps, and Marina watched confusion ripple across their 2 perfect faces. The silver-haired female tilted her head, and Marina knew she was communicating with superiors, checking protocols, verifying whether this changed anything. The silence stretched. Marina's heart hammered so hard she thought her damaged chest might crack open. Finally, the female angel spoke. This is irregular, but legal, Azriel said, arm wrapping around Marina's waist. Matrimony performed on consecrated ground by ordained clergy, binding under both human and divine law, which means you need authorization from at least 3 archangels before you can proceed with execution. How long does that paperwork take? Weeks? Months? The angel's expression went glacial. You're exploiting a loophole. I learned. From the best. Azriel's smile was sharp. You think heaven and hell didn't use loopholes to control me for 3 centuries? Now I'm using them back. And unless you want to explain to your superiors why you violated matrimonial law, I suggest you leave. File your reports. Wait for authorization. We'll be here. It was a bluff. Marina knew it. Azriel knew it. They both knew the second the angels left, they'd run as far and fast as 2 mortal bodies could carry them. But the angels didn't know. That. The female stared at them for a long, tense moment. Then she turned to her companions. We report this to the council. Let them decide jurisdiction. And they vanished. Marina's legs gave out. Azriel caught her, and they sank to the church steps together, clutching each other, while the priest blessed them, and the morning sun climbed higher, and somewhere in the distance, church bells rang. That was the stupidest plan I've ever been part of, Azriel said into her hair. And I've been alive. For 300 years. Did it work? Marina was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. For now, they'll be back. With authorization. With executioners who don't care about loopholes. He pulled back, looking at her with those human brown eyes that still somehow saw everything. We bought ourselves time. Weeks, maybe. If we're lucky. Then we run. Like you said. Disappear completely. Take Sophia and... Marina stopped. We can take Sophia, right? She's not in danger? Not from them. Contracts. Don't transfer to children unless blood signed. She's safe. Azriel stood, pulling Marina up with him. But we need to leave. Now. Before they realize marriage vows don't actually protect ex-Nephilim, just delay paperwork. They left through the church's back door. the priest pressing cash and car keys into their hands with a knowing look. Drove out of Albuquerque as the sun rose higher, heading north with no destination except away. Marina called Mrs. Chen from a gas station, explained nothing, asked her to keep Sophia for 1 more week. Just 1 more week. The lie felt heavier this time. They drove for 3 days, stopping only for gas and food, sleeping in shifts, jumping at every shadow. On the 4th day, they reached a small town in Montana, population 800, 1 main street, mountains on all sides. The kind of place where strangers were noticed, but questions weren't asked if you paid cash. They rented a cabin on the outskirts. 1 room, wood stove, no internet, no phone. Signal. Just silence. On the 5th night, Marina woke to find Azrael standing at the window, staring at stars that seemed close enough to touch. She joined him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. "Do you regret it?" she asked quietly. "Choosing mortality. Choosing me?" He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then he turned in her arms, and his human face was more beautiful than his supernatural one had ever been, because it was real, vulnerable, capable of aging and dying and being hers. "I regret that you're incomplete," he said, pressing his hand to the hollow space in her chest. "I regret the 21 pieces you'll never get back. I regret that we're living on borrowed time, running from angels who will eventually find us." He leaned down, forehead touching hers. "But choosing you? Choosing this? Even knowing how it ends, I'd do it again. Every time. In every lifetime." Marina kissed him, tasting mortality and freedom, and something that felt dangerously close to happiness despite everything. "How long do you think we have?" she whispered against his lips. "I don't know. Months, maybe. Years if we're lucky and careful." His arms tightened around her. "However long it is, we fill it with life. Real life. The kind I watched from the outside for 3 centuries. We get Sophia. We find jobs. We plant a garden. We have arguments about whose turn it is to do dishes. We get old." His voice cracked. "However much time they give us, we make it count. And when they come, we run again, or we fight, or..." Azrael's smile was sad and fierce and utterly human. "Or we've lived enough by then that the ending doesn't matter as much as the middle." Marina pressed her face into his chest, feeling his human heartbeat, steady, mortal, temporary, and thought about incomplete souls and borrowed time and love that existed in the space between heaven and hell. Outside, stars wheeled overhead. Somewhere, angels were filing paperwork. And 2 people who shouldn't have survived made plans for a future they might not get to keep. But for tonight, for this moment, they had each other. And that was enough. So tell me, what would you have done in Marina's place? Would you have accepted death to spare someone you loved? Would you have seen humanity in a creature designed to be monstrous? And here's the harder question. If you knew love would cost you pieces of yourself you'd never get back, would you still choose it? Marina didn't just lose 21 fragments of her soul. She lost the ability to feel joy the same way, to connect without that hollow ache reminding her what was missing. But she gained something too. Someone who saw her, really saw her, and chose her over eternity. Maybe that's what love actually is. Not completion, but the willingness to be incomplete together. Not salvation, but the choice to stand in the space between damnation and grace, holding hands while the world burns. Azrael spent 3 centuries believing he was unworthy of redemption because of what he was, angel and demon, belonging nowhere. But Marina taught him the most human truth of all. We're not defined by what we're made of, but by what we choose. He chose mortality, vulnerability, love, the most terrifying and beautiful choice any immortal creature could make. And now they're running. 2 broken people with borrowed time, creating a life in the margins, knowing every sunrise might be their last. That's not tragedy. That's courage. That's what it means to be truly, devastatingly alive. If this story made you feel something, if it reminded you that the most powerful love stories aren't about perfection, but about choosing each other despite the cost, then don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear that being incomplete doesn't mean being unworthy of love. Subscribe to the channel, because we're just getting started with stories that will break your heart and put it back together in ways you didn't expect. And leave a comment telling me, would you sacrifice eternity for 30 days of real love? I want to know. Because stories like Marina and Azrael's don't end when the final chapter closes. They end when we stop talking about them. So let's keep this conversation going.